Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a fun one because I am going to be duping the Colourpop Lush Life Palette. As soon as I saw that palette on their Instagram, I was like, oh my goodness, that is so beautiful. It's giving me all of the tropical summer vibes that I've been hoping for. I think it's unique enough. I love the shades. I want this palette. And then I took a step back and thought, Kelsey, you've spent a lot of money on makeup in the last week. Not for personal use, but for my kit because I'm supposed to be opening like decently soon, within the next month, hopefully. So I've spent a lot of money on makeup and I don't need another eyeshadow palette. So I thought, let's try and dupe this palette. I feel like it would be a fun video idea, and then hopefully you will feel satisfied and not want to purchase the palette and, you know, spend more money. So that's what I did today. I duped my palette and I'll give you a little sneak peek. This is what it looks like. Oh, she's everything. I think I did a pretty good job at duping it. I didn't have like some shades that were exact, but I tried my best and I think it did the job. I think I'm giving the ultimate tropic fantasy with the eye look. I think it's so pretty. I feel so beautiful in this makeup. I feel ready for summer. I'm gonna go lay by the pool. I'm not actually, I'm probably just gonna wipe this off after I film another video, but I feel pretty. So yeah, that's what matters, I guess, right? At first I wasn't sure about how this look was gonna turn out, and I'm so happy that it turned out really well and I actually really like it. It's definitely bold. Yeah, so this was just an attempt on duping the palette. I've been so into duping lately. I think it's so much fun. I love eyeshadow, so rearranging and creating my own color stories and adding different twists on things is so much fun for me. So I really hope you guys enjoy these types of videos because I love filming them. I just have such a blast. And yeah, as for life updates, I don't have a ton. I'm getting my vaccine on Tuesday. I'm filming this on Thursday, so next week I should be fully vaccinated, which is incredibly exciting. Things are starting to open up. I went for dinner on a patio with one of my besties, so that was really exciting. It was so nice to get out of the house and be in the sun and, you know, eat some food that wasn't made by me. It was great. Such a small luxury, but I really did miss it. So yeah, that's just my quick little life update. I have been struggling with some anxiety, so thank you so much for being patient with me because I haven't been uploading as regularly as I would want to, but I'm just anxious. I'm just an anxious creature. That's just my nature. So this reopening has made me a little bit nervous and I just had a hard time focusing and concentrating. That's just kind of what's going on in my life. And without further ado, let's get into the swatches, the demo, and the final thoughts. Hello friends, it is I coming at you from behind the camera. Today I am going to show you my version of the Lush Life palette. Are you ready to see it? Can't get that open. Okay, there we go. Oh, there she is. This is my palette. These are just like some alternative shades that I'm going to show you guys. I actually really like it. I didn't think I was going to be able to dupe it very well, but I think I did a pretty good job. I will say that it was really hard to tell in photos what certain colors actually look like. In particular, this one, I feel like it changes with every photo that Colourpop posts, as well as this one. So I did have a little bit of a hard time with that just because the photos changed the color so much. So I don't know, I tried my best and this is what I was able to come up with. And yeah, let's just get to swatching. So going from left to right, top down, we have the first shade here, which is Eco. That's what it's called in the palette. The shade I used to dupe that is from the Baby Got Peach palette. I think the one in the Lush Life palette is a little more yellow toned, but this will definitely do. I think it'll give a similar effect. Did I even tell you what this was yet? I don't know. It's from the Baby Got Peach palette and it is the shade Darling. And yeah, it's just a matte peach. I feel like you'll be able to find something similar in your collection fairly easily. Next up, we have like a light goldenish yellow. I don't think this one is as yellow as the one in the palette. The shade in the palette is called Wildlife, and this is the shade I used. It is the shade Serenade from the Limoncello palette. It's actually kind of coming across more green on the viewfinder. It's definitely like a light yellow. Yeah, I think the Wildlife palette is a little more gold and a little less green. This one's kind of shifting a bit green, but I still think it's pretty. Another good option I found was Sunburst from the Honey palette, but that one kind of had like a greenish blue shift that the one in the Lush Life palette didn't have, so I went with this one instead. Next up, we have another shade from the Limoncello palette. This one is duping the shade It's Paradise, and it is also from the Limoncello palette, and it's called Capri. So I think that this color right here I have up in the corner is actually a better better dupe, but I like the green that I put in better, so I chose that one. The shade in the palette is definitely more of a goldish green, so I think this one is more accurate. This is the shade Take It Again from the Off Melrose palette. I just think it is a better dupe for the one in the palette. It's kind of hard to tell in pictures, but I do think that the shade in the palette does shift more gold, and this one is definitely a lot more green. But again, that being said, I actually liked this in the palette better, so this is the one I'm going to use. I'm sure you could get a similar effect with either, but this is probably your closer option. Next up, we have another matte peachy shade. Surprise, surprise. I had a hard time duping this one because, as I said earlier, the color changed with every photo that Colourpop posted. So I don't know if this is actually accurate, but I tried to pick something that was pretty similar to all three of the photos that I was looking at. In the palette, this shade is called Guava, and this is the shade Ochre from the Baby Got Peach palette. So that's what that one looks like. I also had this one in originally because it did look a lot more orange in the swatch photos. This is from the Big Poppy palette. I don't remember the name, but I will post a little text with the shade name on it. But yeah, this is from the Big Poppy collection, but when I was looking at photos of the actual palette that weren't swatches, this one just seemed a bit too bright, so I went with this one instead. Next up, we have a peachy shade with a gold flip. Colourpop always puts these in their palettes, so you can definitely find one rather easily in your collection if you have an extensive Colourpop collection. In the palette, this is called Hotness, but the shade I used is Garden Date from the Sweet Talk palette. There's also a similar shade in the Coast to Coral palette, as well as the Baby Got Peach palette. So you have a lot of palette options. I'm sure there's more, but those are just the ones that I thought of off the top of my head while I was swatching and picking out shades. This was the closest one to the one in the photos that I could find, and I know that Sweet Talk is a really big seller for them, so I figured this was the best bet to go with. Actually, I'm just gonna put this back here. Next up, we have a bright lime green. I got this out of the Just My Luck palette. In the Lush Life palette, the shade is called Pom Pom, but in the Just My Luck palette, this shade is called Mary Jane. And honestly, I do think they're rather similar. Very beautiful. Actually, you know what else might be similar if you're like just eyeing this one shade? If you're just interested in that one shade, this might be a better option. This is the shade Fruit Punch, and it's a Super Shock Shadow from Colourpop. I didn't even think about that until just now. Look at me, always thinking. They're very similar, yeah. So those are the two swatches. This is Mary Jane and this is Fruit Punch. So they are very similar. If you're just interested in the one shade, this would be a great option. The next shade is a teal, and I actually had a hard time duping this one. That's why I think Colourpop should come out with like a teal monochromatic palette. I know they did just launch that Waves, Make Waves, High Tide, something oceany, and it was all teals, but I don't know. I feel like they should launch like a monochromatic collection that's teal, because I was lacking this shade hard. This is the best that I could come up with, and it's also from the Just My Luck palette. In the palette, I think this is called Julie, like Juley, but I don't know what that means, so it makes me think that I might have read it wrong. The thing is, I couldn't really tell from the photos. They haven't put any text for their swatches, so I was trying to read it off of the palette, and this is the one that I couldn't really see what the letters were spelling. So I don't know if it's actually called this, but that's the best that I could see. My eyes aren't great. I wear glasses with a pretty strong prescription. That has nothing to do with it. But anyway, the photo just wasn't good, I guess is my point. But this is the shade from the Just My Luck palette. It's called Big Banks, and it's a nice teal, but I think the one in the Lush Life palette pulls a bit more blue than this. I could be wrong, but I think this is a really nice option if you have the Just My Luck palette. It looks like it's pretty similar. Next up, we have this super pretty coppery bronze. In the palette, it's called Hideaway, and I got this shade from one of the 5-pan palettes that Colourpop launched fairly recently. I also chose this shade, but I thought this one was closer, and it's a more recent launch, so I feel like you might have an easier time getting your hands on it if you like this shade. So this is from the Crush 5-pan. Oh, that's so pretty. And this is the shade Arrow. I also have this shade as an option, but it does look like it's a little different. It looks more copper, whereas this one's more bronze. This is the shade Fuzzy from the Bare Necessities palette. You can see there the difference. Also, Fuzzy is significantly darker, and that just wasn't the vibe that I was going for, so I chose this one instead. They're both really beautiful shades though. Next up, again, this one was kind of tricky because the color kept changing in the photos, but I did my best. This is from the Colourpop So Jaded palette in collaboration with Kathleen Lights, and I went to go look at that on the website, and it's not available on the website anymore, so I don't know if it's been discontinued or what's going on with that. So I did give another option for it. So this is that shade. I think it's pretty similar. The other one might be a bit brighter though, like it might have more orange and be a bit brighter, so I think this is also a good option. This is again from the Big Poppy palette, and the Big Poppy is still available, so it might be easier for you to get your hands on this one. It's not quite as deep, but it's definitely pretty bright, and I know Big Poppy has a lot of shades like this. So if you're interested in this red and brown, honestly, Colourpop has a ton of palettes, and I wouldn't recommend you pick this palette up just for that shade, but I would recommend the Big Poppy palette for some dupeable shades of that. Also, this shade is called Noni, I believe, in the Lush Life palette. I think that's how you say it. I don't really know for sure though. Okay, and next up we have a really nice deep teal. I picked this one because it has a lot of depth. This is from the Raw Beauty Christie palette. Oh, also, there's a shade very similar to this in the Raw Beauty Christie palette. I believe it's the shade Rainier? I think that's a type of mushroom. I don't know. I don't really know how to pronounce it, but if you have the Raw Beauty Christie palette, you might find a really good dupe for this one as well. I forgot to mention that. But this is the shade Emerald City from the Raw Beauty Christie palette, and I think this might pull a little bit too green, but I went with it anyway because I liked the depth. You can also, if you have the So Jaded palette, this is the shade Turquoise, and I think this is a more similar tone. I should have honestly went with Pacific Northwest from the Raw Beauty Christie palette because that one's more blue but deeper. I'll pull that one just so you can see. So this is the shade Pacific Northwest. Yeah, honestly, I don't know. It's hard to say. Let me look at a picture. Yeah, I think it appears to definitely have some more green to it, but I don't think it's as green as this one, but I don't think it's as blue as this one, and it's definitely darker than this one. So there are 3 options that you could use that I think you'd get a similar effect. It's not the exact same though. Next up, we have this beautiful electric blue, and I didn't have anything in my collection that was even remotely similar, honestly. This is the closest I could get, but this shade is definitely darker, and it looks like it's also not as pigmented, but this is from the Blue Moon palette, which also wasn't available on Colourpop. I don't know why Colourpop does that. Same with the Just My Luck. I couldn't find it on Colourpop either, so I don't know what's going on. I don't know if they'll be restocking those. I really hope so, because I think they're really great options to dupe palettes. Anyway, that bright blue shade is called Monsoon in the Lush Life palette, and this is the shade Clued In from the Blue Moon. Again, definitely not as bright as the Monsoon shade, but I think, again, it would give a similar effect. Also, this is literally the only option I could find, so sorry for not giving you a couple choices with that one. And finally, we have a really deep brown. The one in the Lush Life palette, it looked a little bit cooler toned, but I personally really liked something warm to go with this little column here. So I picked something a little warmer. The shade in the palette is called Eden, but this is from the Big Poppy again, and it is the shade Wild Thing, and I just think it kind of went with the palette better because there are a lot of peaches in the palette, so I thought something a little bit warmer than the Lush Life palette would go a little bit better. So yeah, this is my little palette here. I'll just cover that up so you can really see the vibe. I actually really like how it turned out, and I don't feel tempted to buy that palette anymore. I was really into it for a hot minute, and I still am. I'm really obsessed with this color story, but I just don't think it's something that I really like need right now. You know what I mean? Maybe in the future, but it's not something that I'm gonna like rush out and buy right away because I have this little guy. So yeah, without further ado, let's get on to the demo. I forgot I wanted to swatch the palette out on my arm, and I will give you a look at what it looks like all swatched out. So here's what the palette's looking like all swatched out. How pretty is that? So that's what it's looking like. I'll post a little photo of the original right here. And yeah, I think I did a pretty good job. I really like how it turned out. And yeah, now let's get on to the demo. Okay, my friends, so I hope you guys are doing well today. I have my brows on and I am ready to get into an eyeshadow look. I accidentally went a little bit heavy on the brows today. I totally didn't mean to, but here we are. I'm honestly too lazy to take it off. So I'm wearing a nice teal dress today. You can see the straps here. So I think what I want to do is a look with more of the teal and blue shades. Maybe put like a pop of green on the inner corner. I think that might be pretty. So let's see. I never thought about this, but it's gonna be kind of hard to create a cohesive look. Like I feel like I don't have anything for the crease because I don't want to go like super warm if I'm going to, because I'm thinking about using one of these two in my outer corner. Yeah, I'm thinking I want to use one of these two, but then what do I use in the crease? I feel like if I use these two, it might get a bit muddy. I don't know. I guess we'll see. Okay, well, maybe let's just go with it. See where it takes us. If it doesn't turn out, it's only makeup and we can wash it off, right? So I'm gonna prep my lids using my e.l.f. Hydrating Camo as per usual. I have this really big bump here. You can probably see it. I think it's a black fly bite. I don't think it's a pimple because it's quite painful, but it's a little itchy as well. So that makes me think it's a bug bite, but it's really freaking annoying. Eye is prepped and we can move on to a crease shade. I don't know what I want to use still. I just need to start because I'll sit here and think about it for days. I'm gonna start out with just this light toned peach right here. I feel like that one has like the least chance of getting muddy. I don't know. I just wish there was like maybe something a little lighter, not like lighter than the peach, but like maybe something more cool toned that was lighter, like maybe like a lighter teal or something. I don't know. Something that I could use as a transition shade maybe for the darker colors. One thing I always could do, I didn't think about this, I could just like not do a transition shade and just blend out a blue. That might have been a smarter idea. Been trying to blend blue and peach. I guess we'll see. I have a bad feeling that this look is not going to turn out, but I'm trying not to get ahead of myself. Okay, so that's all applied. I think I'm just gonna leave it at that. And then I'm gonna go into, do I wanna do the deep blue or the deep green? Let's try the deep blue. I'm gonna do this deep blue. This is Clued In from the Blue Moon palette. And I'm just going to apply this to my outer corner. Yeah, I think applying the peach might have been a mistake. But what are you gonna do, you know? It is what it is at this point. What's done is done. Or I could just apply the blue all over. Should we go that bold? Why not? I'm not going anywhere today. Okay, I'm just gonna apply the blue because I'm kind of like regretting the peach decision. So I'm just applying the blue all over. Oh God, kind of looks like I have a bruise or something. This is gonna be interesting. Now what I'm going to do is take my Urban Decay pressed powder and I'm just going to set the brow bone just so I have an easier time blending out that blue shade. Okay, so now that there's like very little product left on the brush, I'm just going to try and buff this out. This is not looking good. Okay, I don't know what to do. I'm just gonna take an actual clean brush. I'm not gonna use that one. This is giving me anxiety. I don't like when looks don't work out the way I want them to. So I'm just trying to like soften the edges and bring it upwards a little bit. Honestly, I wasn't expecting to go this dark today, but here we are. I actually feel like that blended out kind of nicely. I'm going to take a little bit more of that pressed powder and I'm just going to apply it over that just to like further soften that edge and kind of bring the blue down a little bit. It's got a bit high for my taste. I kind of like it. Okay, I can see the vision. Like it doesn't look good yet, but I think it will. Okay, then what I'm going to do is take a little bit of this green. I don't know if it's going to show up against the blue, but I just want to use it to like deepen up the blue just a little bit. Now what do I want to do? I kind of want to cut the crease so that this part doesn't look so messy since the blue is like a significantly darker shade. So I'm just going to grab my camo concealer again. These straps keep falling down and it's driving me absolutely bonkers. I know I've done a lot of cut creases on this channel recently. Please forgive me. It's like my safety look, you know, because I'm trying to like venture into new colors and then I get nervous and I'm like, cut crease. That'll fix everything. The reason I'm not going to clean up with like a makeup remover or a micellar water first is because I'm going to use the teal and the teal's kind of got a similar tone, so it's not gonna get muddy. So I'm just gonna save myself a step and not do that. Okay, so now that the crease is cut, I'm going to go in with this teal shade. I'm just going to apply this over the concealer. That's a really pretty color. I really like that. I really wish Colourpop came out with a teal monochromatic collection. I know I've said it before in this video, but I just think that it's completely necessary. I feel very tropical in this look already. I like it. I think that's so pretty. Oh, I'm getting kind of excited. And then I'm just going to take a little bit of that blue again and just kind of feather it into the teal just so we have a nice blended look. Okay, so I'm actually gonna head off camera. Actually, I guess I could do my eyeliner on camera. I'm gonna do a wing because I feel like it makes everything look better. This is just the KVD tattoo liner. It's my favorite. I wish I could use this liner on clients. I feel like I would have such an easier time using this instead of gel, but there's no way to sanitize this, so gel it is. There, I think that's so pretty already. Okay, I feel kind of like I'm in the Dominican Republic or something. So I'm just gonna hop off camera really quickly. I'm gonna do my other eye, I'm gonna finish my face, and then we can complete the look because I wanna do something fun for the lower lash line, I think. I'll be right back. Okay, my friends, so I have finished the rest of my face and now we can move on to the lower lash line. I'm really loving this lip combo. It's kind of an unexpected combination. I used Colourpop BFF lip liner. This is my favorite. I always use it. And the Animal Crossing Just a Tint in the shade Juicy Apple. It's like a really pretty nude pink. Very comfortable as well. I'm really digging it. So what I'm gonna do is take the cream gel liner in the shade Catsuit. It's a nice teal. I feel like it'll match well. And I'm going to line my waterline with this. It's a bit more blue than the lid shade, but like that's fine. Okay, then what I'm gonna do on the inner corner is take this shade from the Limoncello palette. I don't remember the name. Serenade? Maybe? Something like that. And I'm just going to apply this to my inner corner. Actually, I might dampen it a little bit. I've already set my under eyes, so it's not really sticking the way I want it to. There, that's really pretty. Oh, I'm really loving this look. I think it's so beautiful. I feel so tropical. You know I like a look when I do that. I always go for whatever reason. Not sure what made me start doing that, but this is so pretty. This was making me like not want the real thing, but now I see how pretty this look is. I kind of want the real thing now, like the real palette. I'm gonna go into this shade. This is Mary Jane from the Just My Luck palette, and I'm gonna use this on the lower lash line. I'm also gonna dampen this one because I just find that shimmer shades don't really stick very well to powdered under eyes or lids, powdered skin in general. Oh, that's so pretty. I feel really pretty. Yay. I think I'm happy with that. And then I'm just going to apply some mascara to my lower lash line. Just using my NYX On the Rise. I don't think I was in frame for any of that, was I? Oh well, be right back. I'm just gonna, do the other eye. Okay, I'm just gonna pop off camera and pop on some falsies. I'm using the Colourpop falsies in the style Chick. I just don't like doing it on camera, so be right back. Okay, my friends, so lashes are on. As you can see, I feel so pretty. I love this look. Oh my goodness. I am so excited about it. Going into it, I was a little unsure. They had me in the first half, not gonna lie. I was a little skeptical of how this was gonna turn out, but I really enjoy it. I was a little unsure about how I was gonna blend out without a transition shade, but you can always just not use a transition shade and just use a clean brush and just kind of buff it, And I think that worked really well. I love the lime green lash line. I love the teal. I think it's very beautiful. And honestly, this exercise made me want the real thing. I just love this look so much. I'm going to continue to play with this pre-made palette before I actually decide to purchase the original or the real thing. So yeah, I think I will definitely create a few more looks with this, homemade version of the palette before I commit to buying the real thing. Who knows, maybe I'll get it in PR. I haven't gotten Colourpop PR in like 3 weeks. I feel kind of weird about it. But yeah, I would definitely consider purchasing this palette just because of how much I loved this look. And I feel like there's just a lot of versatility and I really enjoy all the colors. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. Will you be picking up the real palette or are you going to try to dupe it out in your own collection? I would be really interested to know. Is this type of color story your vibe? It's definitely mine. I really love jewel tones and bright colors. And I know a lot of people that follow me on Instagram were also very interested in this palette. They thought it was really beautiful. So yeah, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts. I don't think that this palette is like particularly unique. I think the most unique shade is the bright blue. I didn't have something quite as bright. This one was a little deeper than the original. I also think I did okay with this shade, but I don't have a ton of teal in my collection, so that also might be a good addition. But yeah, I don't think this exercise really helped me talk myself down from buying it. I still do kind of want the palette, but at least I have an option in the meantime while I make that decision. It's not going to be something that I purchase right away. I think it launches today. Yep, so it does launch today at 10 a.m. PST. It launches in 20 minutes as I'm filming this actually. So yeah, let me know if you've picked this palette up, what color you're most excited about. I would be really interested to know. Or if you're like not interested in it at all, I would also be interested to know that. So yeah, I think that's it for me today. I had a lot of fun doing this video, so thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you so much for watching if you've made it this far. Please don't forget to subscribe if you want to. If you don't, that's okay. I just really appreciate you being here. It helps out my channel so very much by you watching, so thank you. Please leave any video requests you may have in the comments down below, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys!